aggressive. I hate to use the word aggressive, there's not really a better way to describe it, but it was all fear-based, 1000%. And so when you would go to let him off the lead, he would commonly go to roll or do whatever, and then his go-to was to charge at you, do a 180 and double barrel towards your head, and run away.
That's
turn
a lot
around
of
and
horse
come
for
back.
that.
Good boy! We had some pretty severe leading issues and reactivity just didn't cross overall. So like we started out, once I started working with it full time, just doing key pole position with protected contact, and even that, like you could read his face, he was super worried. Good boy! And so he was actually started, and there's video of him as a 3-year-old riding through a Walmart parking lot, over a bridge, all this stuff. So he's done things. And then he went and started training for logging. So there's really no telling what happened. I mean, we can all kind of guess, right? Like what that might have looked like. But he had a really severe stressor on his feet.
And you could see, so he's a little tense, and he got startled. But what he did, he didn't take it out on Destiny, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like that would have been something that could have
really cool of him.
Lit him up to think you're my catalyst.
And started with him. He'd gone a few months without having his feet done. Before they were able to do dorm gel and kind of like try to manhandle him, but when we gave that a go, none of it was safe. And like we couldn't do it for our barrier's sake or his.
Yeah.
So we just kind of decided like it wasn't a medical emergency at the time. We're gonna try and take the time it took unless it came that way, and then we'd medicate as needed to get it done. And so using pallets over there.
Okay.
Maybe use it tomorrow. I guess with the weight and stuff, I don't want to like hit the feet, stress them out still.
Okay.
So like, but the big thing we found was I originally started out by just trying to ask him to pick up the feet, touch the feet, and I was doing it kind of sporadically, which didn't work because then all of the work was super stressful all the time. So we started like really setting the scene with the palette, using that as like a placemat for him. And so now he gets his last session. We were able to trim all 4, the top, or the front's only from like a standing trim, getting him to stand on the edge of the palette. We were still able to use nippers all the way around, like maneuvering his feet to certain edges.
Right.
And then the hind feet he was able to just put on the stand.
Okay.
And he stands for rasp and everything, but he's still, mostly I think it's structural. He's not comfortable standing on 3 legs if the front foot is one of the ones coming up.
Okay.
So the hind feet, he's okay. But there was also a lot of like body soreness stuff going on, I think, about the work. I mean, being as overdue as they were, they actually looked great. But regardless, he was having brain abscesses. And so we don't think he could comfortably stand on the legs up front. And then there's also the insecurity portion. And before here, he was only done in stocks.
Okay.
Still severely spitted. And now, in the last few weeks, like, he's just a completely different horse.
That's really, in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really good.
So I think, I know Jesse commented on it. I don't know if you recall the video of him.
Yep, I do.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share for anyone interested.
Yeah.
We have videos of him in January and February, like, doing full speed 180s and then barely on the camera, which was me.
Yeah.
And since then we've worked on the mounting block, which might be a good one just for like, we're just building confidence. So we bounce around, and thankfully she's ridden him. She's ridden him off track piano when she first got it. And didn't have, she's like, he's green as grass. But the riding wasn't the issue. It was people being down around him, behind him, that he was really afraid of.
And like you said, who knows what they, I know.
And when we had to navigate, he desperately needed friends, but he wasn't safe enough for us to turn him out with anybody.
Right.
Like, he was in a smaller paddock, and so it took a long time for us to get him to where he was handleable enough. Whereas now, as you saw earlier, like we've turned this into his little area for the time being, and he's gotten to where during the day when he's not out here, the gate in the middle is open, so he's out with the other 4-year-old. Because we were trying to put him in the 2-acre, but for whatever reason he's panicked out there, and so we'd hang out for 15-20 minutes, and then he'd pick up a canter and just run, stop at the gate, lean on it until it break, and then he'd just
I just think of that, yeah. Yeah.
And,
like,
and we still have lots of
why
leading
jump it?
issues. They're significantly better now that he's getting turnout time. He doesn't have a reason to run away from me. But when we go to like hand walk and go back to his paddock upper sessions, he was good walking to the round pen of the arena, but going back he'd eventually like, once we started coming out of Showdown, he'd see something shiny and he'd be like, no, I have to go see this thing, and he would just leave. And so we just
Okay, what are we gonna do with him?
we want him to see all the people and maybe address his front feed if we could work on like even the weight shift stuff. I lied. That's where I want to bring that over here.
Okay.
Because I don't want to not set the scene for him. And
Yep,
lie to
that's
him.
good thinking. Not get greedy trainer syndrome.
I
Who
know,
knows
this is
about
huge.
that?
Like he's here and he's not hurting anybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he did a crazy face. Oh, hi.
And he went up to Jesse cautiously. And he doesn't respect the chain, so don't worry.
Yesterday, Chico's the elephant. We put Chico in a chair yesterday, and we had the speakers on, and we made sure he didn't try and hurt Chico. He only licked him, nuzzled him a bunch. It was very cute. He actually did respond relatively well to the reverse round pin, which I wasn't sure, because he used to be really panicked when I try and work outside of the round pin. And he would just, double barrel at the round pin panels. So I guess the big thing is like any help with guidance towards. We'd love to get him back riding. I know he's not physically set. Like we want to work on the pieces so that once he is fully comfortable on his feet and everything's good to go, that there's no really slow.
Right. And I think the mounting block is a good thing to get him just good with and used to again.
It's been a few weeks since we worked on it. The last time we did.
Okay, good. No. And I think one of the things that's good about, even when they're not, like might not be sound enough to ride,
Right.
but you can walk around easy when he feels.
Walk track handling when he's playing. You can tell he's a little uneven. Like I said, he's had chronic abscesses over the last few months. It's been
Yeah.
a few months now. You can see there's two on his front feet growing out. And when he first came here, he was extremely lame on the left hind from an abscess that lingered. And that was in November.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody?
Same time as Ponyo.
Okay. And he does have some gnarly cracks. We're very aware of this. He did get a regular trim just 2 weeks ago. They're extremely overdue. So.
Okay, let's see the mounting block.
Okay.
And he kind of peers out from under all that forelock. But you see him kind of side-eye at us.
Believe it or not, it's in a ponytail.
Yeah, actually, I did see it. Actually, yeah, you're right. It's like it's a side pony, though.
Yeah.
Where you going? So I've kind of bounced back and forth between just feeding him from up here and getting down and feeding him.
Was it a trigger?
Being up high was.
Okay.
The mounting block itself, he didn't seem too worried about. But we used to get up on the fence to kind of have that as like our safe space to get away from him, and that kind of panicked him a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because she just feeds those things, so you could see her like this. Are you looking at me? Doesn't your heart just go out for horses that have been through so much?
Just poor breeding.
Yeah.
Oh, good job. It's kind of hard to see over, to be honest.
And I gotta tell you a little secret, if you always get down and feed, it'll help encourage him not to come to you for feeding.
Come backwards.
Yeah. Because at some point he's going to start, it may be evasive, but it's easier if he just learns I can stand up here.
I kind of got in the habit from, I was in a brace early this year. My knee was really giving me a hard time.
Right.
So I was just staying on the mounting block for all of
Yeah,
them.
I get it.
Now I have to recorrect that.
Because if they always think that you're going to, this is just for everybody listening, and I get it with the brakes, but if they always, it makes it harder to get further back at the barrel or the mounting position if they're always thinking, but I have to, you're going to feed me from there.
they step back to get fed.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to reward their head position. That's what you're saying.
it's
I mean, you want the
Yeah.
head, where you reward them is where you want the head to be. So if they're trying to get you up on the, I get it.
And really quickly, as soon as we can, which he's a little taller, he'll need a bigger mounting block. But
I know. I was like, you're gonna have to do something about this.
because we like to, as soon as we can, feed on the other side. So once they're up there, they're looking to the outside, which brings their barrel into you versus away from you.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you get up, they're kind of thinking that. But he's a little tall. She's a little shorter.
I'll go over to the other one. See if she has something for me.
Go on, Momo.
Shauna said you can feed me now. And honestly, in this situation, I don't mind if he gets fed for even leaving and going to another person because of his defensiveness with other people. I would assume he'd look at people and think, you know, might be a good one.
Yeah, he might be a Pez dispenser too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
I
don't
used
mind.
to set up like muck tubs with hay and hay pellets and everything, and like I could put super high reinforcing stuff in there and take 3 steps. He would run over the top of the barrel and come after me.
Oh wow.
And that was
Well,
in
you've
December.
done a great job with him.
And you've lived to tell the story.
And we're persistent to get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And realizing there's a way through it. Because here's the truth is, there's a way through any of it. If we are willing to put in the time and break it down to the steps and figure out what it is. And build the trust and trust them and figure out how do we do this together. There is a way through it. There's times when you have people and you think, well, I don't think you're ready to do this, and so maybe this isn't the horse for you. But it's not because there's not a way through it. It's because you might not have somebody who wants to put the time in or patience in. They're like, I just want to trail ride. You're like, okay, well, we got to do it different then.
Get you a different horse.
Yeah, and I hate that because I'm not a one who wants to. My horses are with me forever.
Yeah.
You know, I get too afraid of them being in the pipeline, but there's a time when I feel like it's, maybe not the right.
Well, then it's dangerous for the person and the horse.
Yeah, right. And we were talking, somebody had mentioned something, it was earlier before we came out here about, when they get that perception, people get a perception about them, well, pretty soon they're treating them that way. And that was part of me wanting to, Bugsy, if you pulled on his lead rope, he'd rear. If you yanked on it, if somebody yanked on it, I'm like, I'm in California. You may have to be evacuated. Somebody may be panicking. They may be abrupt with you. I need you to not be that guy, or you have to go to the vet clinic. And then, so now he's dropping, which is.
So yeah,
He said,
it used
"No,
to
I'm
be
not. Take it
Anytime
back."
you were anywhere near him, completely out all the time.
Okay, and it went back up.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
No.
Down there?
Get your head out of the gutter.
What kind of clinic is that?
We don't.
It can get baked in for some horses, right?
It can get baked in. That's a good. I didn't heard it put that way, but yes, it can get baked in for
Break
some
down,
horses.
as the case may be.
And they are baked out. It's like classically conditioned. It can become what they think or superstitious behavior. They think it's part of the behavior, and so we don't know why they do it. So this is one thing that is, there's some horses you can see when they know the answer, they drop. Like, I'm relaxed, there's no second guessing, I'm relaxed, I'm dropping. And then there's other horses, if there's tension, worry, or frustration, they drop. So they're completely different scenarios, and the truth is, we don't know why they do it. And there's also a physical component to being, like, again, my friend Sue McDonald knows a body worker that can make a horse drop it within minutes, really, just a certain placement, doing certain
She's got the
tactile on the
touch.
side and back. Yeah. So there could be that there's something physically, yes, that when we're doing that. So we don't know why it is. We don't really worry about it. We'll make an observation. We don't really worry about it. What we worry or focus about is the behavior.
Yeah, what's going
Yes.
on, what behavior is
Yeah.
happening.
So if you're dropping, you're dropping. But like if you're dropping and you're spacing out, because sometimes there's ones that are like, and you're like, well, now I have nobody here to work with, so I'll be back in a little bit. Or sometimes they start dropping and they start getting snappy, or you won't even know they're dropped yet, but they'll feel them getting snatchy with the food, and they get a little studdy, a little tense, or whatever it might be. So we'll pay attention to that. But by and large, if it's not affecting behavior, we don't really care. And some horses just are down all the time, period. Tico is one, he just walks around like in his free time, before positive reinforcement, that's how he was. So we just trying to take it in stride. So we don't really know what it is. Some people are trying to kind of put together 2 and 2 what it might be, and they put out a survey to try to figure out.
Hi, sweetheart. Hi. Go graze for a little bit? Oh, good boy. Oh, handsome. Good job, Momo. You target? Good boy. Good job. Yeah, good boy. Oh, good boy. You come here? We're gonna go to the arena. You wanna target? Target right here. You come down. Good boy. Good job. You want to come in with me? Oh, good boy. I'm going to go this way. Good boy. Good boy. You're okay, buddy. You come right here. You load up. You load up and get your target. Oh, good job. Good boy. Good job. Okay. All right, well, come on. They said they don't want you in here. Oh, good boy. Target. Yeah, good job, handsome. I brought him in the first time, but he came walking all the way over from the far end for me and just following. Oh, now we see something in the woods. Come in, over here. Good job, buddy. Over here. You want to go see Megan?
Do you need this guy?
Sure. He likes it. We worked on picking it up yesterday. I don't know why he's not eating his brain.
Hi, Mo.
a term of endearment.
Yeah, for sure. I use it
call
on
it
accident with him, and I'm like,
Little
okay, this
Tino.
seems a little extra ridiculous. So if he does,
I have a question.
thank you.
What was the difference versus when you used the hand on your speaker?
Hand feeding. So we started out by hand feeding by using the pan because he had the aggression in general. It was never a food aggression. And so I would have pans down and I would just constantly throw food. I would just walk in and we'd have 6 or 7 pans. Now I just brought that down because we're going to do a break between sessions. And so I figured his magnitude reinforcer will go in there. It's also his breakfast, which he normally always eats, but he's doing it on the grass. And I think he helped himself to some of the girls' breakfast. So he wasn't interested in his breakfast. But that's why I was like, well, you can have that, which I may just dump into something else.
Does this make my butt look big? This picture does. So, okay there. Did you see him startle there for a minute? Means he's extra alert, extra tentative, not quite sure probably about Jesse or us a little bit. But you saw him also settle right back down. You know, and you saw him go, okay, I'm all right. And that's the really important part because we want self-regulation out of our horses. We want them. We know they're going to get startled sometimes. That's not going to stop. But what we want to do is, 1, have them less triggered and activated, but 2, help them to be able to relax and settle back down. Okay, I'm going to talk about something. What are you guys doing? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah, she's telling everybody what's going on.
Okay, I couldn't hear.
Okay, so for you guys all got it yesterday. 6 months, right? Couldn't be
Right.
trimmed.
Yes.
The whole thing.
Right.
This was our magic pill over here. So we taught him to come and stand. Yeah, good boy on the pallet. And as he puts his foot placement different places, he can access different things. Good. So we have the little 2x4 there. So like here, I could easily, with nippers, if I brought them down, could get the quarters on the medial side. Good boy. He can lift the hind legs for us now. Actually quite willingly, and even was able to put them on the stand and use nippers all the way around and clean up his frog. The front feet, okay, bub, good boy. So I was comfortable with picking up, and I think part of it, he's a heavy dude, and they aren't real made. I know, I'm not carrying up the kid. Aren't really made to stand on one leg up front. So I have a hard time, like, is it a discomfort pain thing? Obviously there's a confidence component. Creative? Is it maybe time to start working on picking up the front? But he'll pick it up, but there's like 0 duration. And it used to be he'd pick it up and he'd like, wow. Strike out.
I can show you about my back feet though.
Slam it down. It's like, look at all the creative things I can do. So like when you're talking about, sometimes we say things out loud and we're like, this is all we need and we'll be done. I know a few people saw the video of him. There's one where it's like, okay, bud, I just need you to rock your weight over. We're gonna step sideways and put your foot in. No shit. He just comes over and he's like, oh, foot here. And now I can suddenly get to the medial side where he's got his cracks that we're trying to get a manage or get a handle on. It was wild. It wasn't something he should have been able to understand, and there wasn't a whole lot of body language happening.
And it's
wasn't,
happened.
Like, cues that he had. Like,
And
it
it's
was a little bit of sideways, a little bit of back, but this was like, I really needed his body weight over, backwards, and on the 2x4.
So you brought food down so that he has the choice to leave the
This was his
section.
breakfast that he decided he didn't want, but yes.
Oh.
So and
I figured we could dump it into something else so that can be for the magnitude reinforcer.
so this case in point, he has food there. He's choosing to work, not eat the food.
There's
And
also
you
for
probably
everybody, and all the horses know, there's a hay tub down there with orchard and bluegrass in it. So they've all had hay access.
Yeah.
So a big thing for him when we started was he'd always have high value food. I just didn't bring alfalfa down because some of the other horses are sensitive to it, and he's really good at decorating the arena with it. But normally, like when we work on this, we've always done it in the paddocks. This is his first time doing it out here since we figured out the pallet situation, and he normally has a big bucket of alfalfa with him.
He says you're ignoring me.
I'm
Yes.
thinking, it seems like we use the pallet, like it helps take weight for him and shift it. So I'm thinking having him put his front feet on the pallet and then asking for the front feet will be easier. He's already shifting some weight back. Because it seems to help with the hind end. Like he puts his hind end on there,
Yes.
and then we ask for a hind foot, and it's easier for him.
Right. Yes.
So you use a lot of nose targets. Do you ever use foot targets?
Yes. We use all sorts of different targets depending on what we're doing. And again, with the marine mammals, this is how we trained everything. You know, we didn't have halters and lead rope. So, but yeah, you can definitely do the foot target. The challenge with the foot target, sometimes in the beginning, it gets a little extra swingy as they're learning to kind of pursue it. So you kind of got to balance that out a little bit. But if you had something specific, we've also taught horses to put them like on a cement block. You know, so they deliberately put it somewhere, but it's raising it, and you can, so there's all sorts of variations. Do not let your creativity is everything. You know what I mean? So thinking outside the box, doing it what works for you is super important, and never limiting your creativity. Because yes, we do body targets, ear targets, eye targets.
Sorry, what's a foot target?
What's that?
What's a foot target?
Teaching them to touch a target with their foot.
Oh.
And if we're teaching, we kind of veer away from not teaching hip targets. A lot of people want to teach hip targets. If you do, I would not recommend you do it with your hand, because plenty of times your vet or farrier are talking and their hands up and here comes a butt. I would go do clinics before. I know people would teach this, and I'd be talking and the horse would swing its butt to me, and I would immediately think, you know, and I would
know.
Yeah,
As the
yes.
outsider, you don't know what does this mean.
Yes, and even though I knew it probably was, there's still this reflex in me
Yes.
that was like, and I wouldn't act on it, but you know, so we teach, if you're going to do that, use a target or something your vet's not just going to accidentally have in their hand. You know, makes it very intentional.
I'm
And
trying
then-
to break down each piece. This is a lot of shifted context. Obviously, not that long ago, even having a second person around made him extremely nervous. Like, he got into where he's pretty good with me, and then even just having me and his mom out, he's fully dropped and just a lot more worried. So I'm just coming to like touching away.
And I love that Destiny's not taking it for granted. You know, she's saying, let's just check on all the pieces and make sure he's okay with all the pieces. So even though it can look like he's okay, we can go back and say, let's just be sure. Let's remind you.
And that way too, like if we hit a spot, we know what spot is.
It's a
by
lot of
just
listening,
going through
yeah.
the stages instead of. I'm just looking for like the tiny shift to help bring some clarity. He's gotten to where like I think he understood the foot up, but it would happen so quick that I don't think he was able to like connect the duration of up.
Yes.
Like he almost thought
Shifting
it was
his weight away from it, and
Right. Thinking I have to stand like this for a moment. I'm going to try.
Good. And so because he's so big and he's not completely comfortable on his feet, he's going to have to really use his body. So like that's with a minimal weight shift, but he took his head all the way over.
Right.
Which I think for a long time was uncomfortable for him because he couldn't see what I was doing. But it would be a little bit necessary for him to be able to hold his foot.
Right.
Is that, okay. I'm saying all this with a question mark at the end.
Yes.
To
And
clarify.
yep, and it's all those little things you're pointing out are all approximations. So I love that, because you know the first approximation was that slight shift, and then it was a bigger shift that was easier to see, and then it was actually lifting. But all of those are the mechanics that are required for him to be able to move in this direction. So when we see them thinking those things or making those little decisions, in the beginning particularly, an early bridge helps bring clarity on that. Go, yes, I like what you're thinking. Yes, that's the right idea. So those little nuances like that are building blocks to the bigger behavior. So it's super important that we can communicate.
Good boy. So I've touched on his back legs quite a few times. We've only actually done his back feet the one time.
Okay.
He was such a saint. We worked for no less than 45 minutes with lots of little breaks. But yeah, good boy. I'd rather like back up here. First. I know the hind legs he knows how to do.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to retouch on this is what I'm asking for. And then
Which is great.
try and give him a break and see if we can come back to the front feet and if that'll help make the connection.
And I'm going to explain those things you're doing because they're very well thought out, and that's what we like, is that if he knows the back feet better, a lot of times it's the front feet are better for a lot of horses, so we'll go to the front feet then the back feet. But if we can teach the front feet or the back feet or whatever is stronger one, and remind him, look, this is the thing you know and have success with, and get the success, take a little of the pressure off because he has more clarity with that and more comfort with that, and then go back to the little bit harder one. So you can kind of go back and forth and give him a little break, which lets his adrenaline down a little bit more.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to keeping him on edge like, oh no, oh no.
I know this is probably too simple of a question.
No,
But you've got the target there, and that is for him to calm.
Yes. Okay.
That's the calming part of this.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that he's,
It gives him some clarity because it's something he can see and knows how to do.
and
But-
he's already comfortable with that way beforehand. Is
And
that the building?
yes, exactly. He is definitely comfortable with that. And this is something we didn't talk about. I talked about a little bit, but with the target, I always thought with the marine mammals, it's just touching the target. We use the target, use the target, use the target. And then one day, John and Beezy had a horse named Husker Du. It was a client's horse. He's a Grand Prix show jumper. And when it's your amateur owner's Grand Prix show jumper, he's a good boy. You know, he didn't have problems. He was really good. But at this point, every horse that came through there got breech conditioning and target training. And so then what we did is, but it was at a show. Like up at that, you know, and I didn't do anything more with it because he was good. And we had other projects that we were working on. And then one day he was out in the paddock. And when the grooms went out to the paddock, he would wag his tail and run away like a terrified Arabian. You know, and so then you'd go to leave and he'd rush the gate like, don't leave me. But you go to get him and this cycle went on for 5 hours. And at the end of the day, I went out and said, hey, you know, you guys, maybe I should try the target, the clicker. And they said, well, you know, he hasn't done it in months. We've never done it at home. And plus, we've tried buckets of food and carrots. And he's not doing it for the food. And I said, well, this is the sciencey part of me. We have nothing left to lose. And they said, okay, whatever. So I go out just like they said. I went in, he ran away. But I turned, and you always want to click on what you want to see more of. And as I turned and started walking, I could see him running towards me, so I clicked. And then I turned around slowly, just like this. I thought, well, he's not relaxed. But I held the target over the fence, he dropped his head, touched the target, and walked home like normal. He was, whatever had an over threshold for 5 hours, and he did not want to be there.
Yeah.
It snapped him out of it and just back to normal. But the food wouldn't. It wasn't the food. So started recognizing that the target had some separate value that was, yes, and I didn't know what it was. Remember I talked about the iceberg and the top of the ice? This felt like the second time I looked below the surface of the iceberg. I was like, oh, something is, what is that? I don't know, here's your horse. And then there's another time when Minty and George, with marine mammals, we would always go and we would go up and everybody was in a social group, everybody knew stationing. So you go in and you had everybody target, and then you said you, whoever you're going to do the session with, you pointed to them and did the session. So stationing was very normal. So with the horses at John and Beezy's, it's particularly George and Mint, like that target that we had down there, we had up in the ground pen, they had those hanging in their stalls. So before I'd come in from, I taught them that I could be at the door and say target, and they go back and hold on their target. I could enter, exit, and they just, stay and watch you. So I did it all the time. It was a really very well-conditioned behavior to the point of classic conditioning. It meant this is an opportunity for food. And one day guys are working in the hayloft, and something startled them that was so loud that
and they were back inside eating their hay. Both of them, when they got, I jumped, it was that loud, and both of the horses flew to their stationary target, and then just looked around, and then went back to eating food. And I was like, what was that? You know, and so now I started putting together, and then it happened over and over, and people heard that story and started doing it intentionally, and you know, using it during hurricanes or thunder. You know, there was a horse that was in a hurricane, somebody in Aiken, and there, South Carolina, and then when thunderstorms would come through, the horse lost its noodle, and so then she would do it all the time, and then a tropical storm came through, and the transformer blew, and she ran to the barn, and he was eating his hay, and everybody else was because he probably got startled and went to his target, went, okay, I'm okay, and went back to eating. So I started to recognize, and I think, what is it? Some of these horses didn't even like the target at first. So it's not the target, and realize it's classic conditioning, because it never stops. It's always going on in the background. We think about it when we teach the clicker. We click, feed, Pavlovian conditioning, and then we forget about it when it never stops. So I started to recognize it is one of our
So it's a
strongest.
more calming spot than a safe spot.
Yep.
Which is more important than any of the other stuff. More important than the food.
Yes, exactly. And this is where the endorphins, the dopamines, the oxytocin, all the safety. So it represents it. So sometimes having the target out in that situation, he's like, this is a good thing. This is a comforting thing, which can help them self-regulate and equalize their, their concern. Now, it's not going to override something huge. You still got to go slow enough where they can manage. You know what I mean? You're not just.
You're having a meltdown, go to the target.
Yeah, but they will.
An airplane just crashed, go to the target.
Yeah,
Speaking of on bear, when he would go into blue panic flushing,
yeah.
on a loose line and just a halter, it was just, if I had understood before, help and put a target someplace, and he could just go there.
Yes. Because that's like when I first got on Henley. Henley was very relaxed. So, but you're on a baby horse now. No, I'm not somebody that rides all the time. Because I do more behavior work than riding. And she's a baby horse. But I was like, well, I want to know that when I'm, like you said, she's the horse that we all want to be. She's the woman we all want to be. But I would have targets and cones around. So if she got a moment of I don't know what to do, she had a destination to go to that was constructive. Right. She could tell me, I don't know what to do, as opposed to making something up. And so it was, when in doubt, I'd rather go somewhere and I go, okay, yeah, sure, we'll work this out. And it's very helpful. And it really is. And not that hard to do, but it does take a little, thinking outside the box a little bit. Good job there, Jesse.
Yeah, he was looking up the hill and dangling his foot there.
And just so you guys know, oftentimes when we're working on teaching them to pick up their foot, and this is what Destiny worked on too, we want to teach them to lift their own foot.
Right.
Like say, you have control of it, it's not us. So they can negotiate or put it down, but then we want to teach them where they can hold it up longer and develop their own strength and sense of comfort.
And
again,
we're not going to
agency.
hold it there.
Yes,
So
exactly.
this is so critical. I can't stand it when I say,
Yes.
let go.
He needs his foot. Give him his foot.
Give me a
Oh, yes. We're smart in that. We can get back to it.
Grab their foot and don't let go. That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, the farriers. Yeah.
That's how I teach people that you don't go at their face. I just go to their face.
You need to go to Germany and see the way they.
Oh.
It is.
Yeah, I don't
the most
need to.
ridiculous thing you've ever seen. The farrier doesn't hold the foot. The handler holds the foot. And the farrier trims from looking at the foot this way. Oh, it's so ridiculous. You can't believe it.
I think if I put this on top of there, I can reach it back a little bit.
What a weird thing to do. Then how do you know the horse is gonna pull away or
Good job.
It's a horse. Death grip or no death grip. It's good.
Oh, it's the stupidest thing.
And it really is.
I tell people
I didn't know they did it like that.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy.
only
I
in
think
Germany or
alone
all of
don't
Europe.
anymore better range
Are you
No.
paying attention?
Yes.
It's miracle that you can do that and be looking right at the same time.
Her eyes go Those chameleons can go with their eyes just spin all around.
Yeah, it's true.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Because
See how relaxed he looks?
yeah, we were talking about how they need the breaks, right?
Right.
And latent learning. And so we said, oh, you know, I heard Jessie say, like, this is enough. Session's done. And then she went right back to it. Is that because she felt like the horse was asking to go back? Or
And
he
like
was
with him in
connected?
particular? I
Just
think,
in this situation right now.
yeah,
Like you
and,
said, give him a break, and we're going to move on.
and they did
and
step
then-
away,
right,
but she did kind of step in a little.
And then she just went right back to it without.
And I think, yeah,
He showed a willingness
felt
to
like-
still participate.
yeah, I think she felt like,
didn't give him a huge reinforcer because I emptied my buckets into there, and that was all I had, and I was getting more.
and I think that he also is more experienced, so this is not as,
He's built an incredible amount of resilience with this,
yeah,
and he also hasn't worked on it, and I don't know if you heard that part. He hasn't worked on it since he got trimmed about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like I'm very careful to not drill him with it.
Well, and I'm not. There's no judgment in what I'm saying. I'm just.
Fine,
I
figure
was
it
just
out.
like, oh, so because like my little mule, he could do it for hours. He would participate if I would let him.
Yeah.
And so if he's more willing,
and I
then
think,
can you go?
yes,
do
you
more?
can go more if you really are recognizing if they're over threshold. The further they get with the training, the more they know the game, they enjoy solving the puzzle, they're more engaged in it, and I think it is then reading it a little bit, and it is just not the same for anybody. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, yeah,
always
individual.
it
Sure,
depends.
sure.
So I think it's that is the thing, is looking, and I think a little bit with the session, trying to do a little, or with the clinic, you know, you're kind of do what he do more, but never at the horse's expense. But he is there, and he looks calm, and he looks engaged.
I mean, he does.
Yeah.
He still looks. You know, that's how I was reading it. Like,
Yes.
well, he's still engaged and he's still
And
like,
I think
willing and.
the key is we want to quit before they quit. You know what I mean? So we don't want to, a lot of times people want to push them till the horse walks away, and then they go, oh, I'm done. You're like, well, now you just were out. You're welcome. You'd rather, in the very beginning particularly, quit while they're still engaged.
And that can be a very short time, huh?
Yes. But yes.
That's what I need to, that's what I want to work on. I want to work on that
Component there. And if we have,
Recognize
Yes.
and it is all recognized.
Yeah.
And if we have horses walking away, we just say do a 2-minute session.
Well, some days are better than others, though. Some
Absolutely.
days right there and everything. But then I get so excited, I go too far.
Then you get greedy.
I'm greedy.
Yeah. Yeah, they greedy.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember training is not linear. It doesn't just go like this. It goes, you know, have good days, bad days. And just like we do, they are they will have bad days, just like sometimes I wake up and don't want to do my favorite thing. You know, I'm just, so you just go,
Or sore or whatever.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you just kind of say, okay, no big deal. There's always later or tomorrow. It's, you know, you don't have to do, it's their choice to do it or not. And now, if they have it once, I just go, you know. But if it happens for a few days in a row, I start to think, okay, maybe I have to change something. This is something different.
Yeah.
But by and large, you just go, all right, no big deal. Let's come back a little later. That was really
Excited
good.
about that target thing. I want to do that.
You stop when you're being sarcastic all the time.
Do you know what we were working on?
Yeah, your spin. Right?
There will be a quiz.
Anybody have questions?
No, did you seriously see though at the end? I probably got that long.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really
She
nice.
was
Yeah.
commenting on it, Jessie. She said,
Yes.
like, look how good he's doing it. Yeah.
And we were talking about the choice to carry on and when not to carry on. And so we're talking about, like, Robin had asked, you know, when do you quit? When do you keep going?
Because I just have my baby mule, he would do it for hours. Like, it's just, he would do it for hours. I have to walk away from him.
And it is environmental enrichment. We become kind of part of the entertainment because it's good things. We're their video games. They're like, here we go.
Right.
We're gonna do my favorite thing.
He would like to show off his newest trick because we just worked on this yesterday.
Okay.
See if he'll do it. Can you do it for everybody? Hi, I love you. You can go voice.
Good job.
I'm gonna learn. I want to. I have all the doggy toys. Oh, I want to do that.
See, so she clicked when it was back in her hands. So
Yeah, I learned that lesson. Adeline takes things and chucks them before you can move again to like slow her down.
So you clicked when it went back to her hand? Is that what you
yeah, she went and kind of got it. But at first, she just took it. She probably got him just lifting his lip and then his teeth and then taking it. But then she so it kind of becomes a bit of back chaining. So it's back in your hand is when the reinforcement happens. So then he wants to get to the end, so pretty soon you can throw it. And he's like, and back to your hands.
Oh, I get it. I wanted to see how they did the balls too. So.
I have a friend who taught her horse. She'd throw her whip down.
Yes.
Oh no, I dropped my whip. And he'd walk over and pick it up and hand it.
Oh,
Yes,
see, I'd like to do that. That'd be fun.
I taught Mincy to do that, and I would joke and say, "Pick that up so I can beat you." And he but he could pick up my gloves, and there's other things. But
That would be the best thing on a trail because Buddy being so big, I can't get back on it.
yeah.
It is a good trail skill.
Yeah.
Questions down there? Anybody?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so my horse she does not like to be pet very much. She
Yes.
only likes her face to be.
Well, come here. Come on. Come on. Yeah, good boy. Good job. You target? Oh, yes. Good job. Good job. You're so smart. Come here. You come with me to your paddock?